Welcome to our top 5 gainers and top 5 losers analysis. My name is JC De Guzman and this is for March 18, 2019, Monday. For the top 5 gainers, I'll be discussing MBT, JGS, CHP, SEC, DMW. Okay, that's not BMW but DMW. Okay, now for the top 5 losers, we have PHA, Green, ISM, Web, PX. So let's start it off with MBT. Okay. By the way, I'm not going to discuss, we're not going to check if these 10 stocks have dividend announcements, but I'm going to give you a piece of advice that you can apply should you find any dividend announcements for any of these 10 stocks. Okay, so here you go. If you're going to buy before the ex-dividend date and keep those shares until the ex-dividend date, then those shares will get some dividends. However, if you will buy on or after the ex-dividend date, those shares will no longer receive the dividend. Okay? Now, if you're going to sell before the ex-dividend date, those shares will no longer receive the dividend. On the other hand, if you will sell on or after the ex-dividend date, then those shares will still receive the dividends. Okay, I hope you get that. That's my on, before, and after scenario for the buyers and sellers. I mean, whether you're going to buy or sell, the on, before, and after scenarios will apply. Okay, keep replaying that part just in case you didn't quite understand the part for the buyers or for the sellers. Okay, now let's move on to the first stock in our list, MBT. Okay, so MBT closed today at 81.90. It managed to maintain its position above the 10-day simple moving average, but this is not yet the perfect alignment that we wish to see. When I say we, I'm referring to the ones who have MBT in their portfolio. Okay, why is this not the perfect alignment that we're wishing to see? It's because the 50 SMA is still above the 10-day simple moving average. I think the shorter term SMAs will only perfectly move above the longer term SMAs once the price breaks out above 84.6. Well, right now MBT is still at 81.90, and nonetheless the support is at 75.15 while the resistance is at 84.6. Okay, I think it's important to break out this intersection between the 50 SMA and the 10 SMA is important, which is near 81.9. Once the price breaks out above 81.9, preferably with a strong volume, I think that will pave the way to breaking out above the resistance at 84.6. Okay. Today's net foreign trade costs is worth 89 million pesos worth net foreign buying. MACD remains bullish, and MBT has has a low risk level because of its historical volatility score of 44%. Okay. Today's volume is relatively significant because it's I think it's almost equal or a little bit above the 10-day volume average. This is what we prefer to see. As we see a green candlestick, you want to see it to be accompanied with the volume above its 10-day volume average. When that combination is present, the ascent in price is more likely to continue. The same thing applies when you see a red candlestick that is supported with a volume above the 10-day volume average. When that combination is present, the descent in price is more likely to continue as well. So that's how I interpret the correlation between the price and volume. Okay? So now let's take a look at the volume review for MBT. Remember, it closed today at 81.90. Okay, 81.90. Now let me tell you the price or the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades. 81.90 got the Yes, this 81.90 is not just the closing price but also the intraday high. Plus, it got nearly 16% of today's volume with 128 trades, one of the highest, one of the price points that got the highest number of trades. So, with this, since the intraday high, which happens to be the closing price, got the highest volume with one of the highest number of trades, it gives me the conviction to mention or to give this stock a bullish overall sentiment. My overall sentiment on this stock at this moment, based on what I've seen here, is bullish. So if you are going to trade the name, if you're going to trade the name, let's say you don't have MBT yet, what should you do then? At what price range should you park your buying entry or your test buy? I would advise within the first 15 to 30 minutes of trading, monitor the price from 81.90 maybe towards until 90.50 or 90.30. Okay, so you park your buying price within that range, above 81.90 and above. On the other hand, if the price starts at if it will show a weaker start at the open, let's say it did not start at, let's say that it did not start at 81.90, where should you park your buying position, then your buying price? When that happens, try to monitor the price between 80.65 towards 81. 80.65 towards 81, or 80.70 towards, yeah, 81. 80.70 to 81. Okay, so again, if you would like to test buy on MBT because of my bullish overall sentiment matches with your own interpretation or analysis, and the price starts below 81.90 at the opening, I would recommend that you step back a few notches below 81.90 and try to monitor if the price will hit the range between 80.70 and 81. Okay, now if it shows a strong start, let's say it starts above 81.90 or 81.90 and above, then I would suggest you monitor the price above 81.90. You reevaluate the price volume review for MBT if it starts at or above 81.90. Okay? If you're not yet comfortable to make your own volume review assessment, you may always post a request in our private clients forum so that I can tell you my latest insight or analysis about MBT's price volume distribution. Okay? So again, there you go. My overall sentiment is bullish on MBT. I've given you my trade setup. If you don't have MBT yet and you would like to trade the name, now, if you already have MBT, there's no better advice than telling you to know where your trailing stop loss is and respect it at all costs. If you are a new subscriber and this is the first time that you've heard of the phrase trailing stop loss, what is a trailing stop loss? Now, if that's where you are at, here's my advice. Although it's already late, it's relatively late that it's only now that you're calculating your trailing stop loss, but here's how you can recuperate or how you can repair your situation. If your average price is higher than 81.90, which is the current price, I suggest that you calculate your trailing stop loss from your average price. From your average price. However, if your average price is lower than 81.90, then that's good, meaning to say you bought at a lot lower price than 81.90. If that is the case, you calculate your trailing stop loss from your current price, not from your average price. Okay? JC, I got the idea. I now know where I should calculate my trailing stop loss. I now know whether I should base it from my average price or the current price. But can you show me some more examples of calculations on how to calculate this trailing stop loss? Yes, of course. You can just head over to your newsletters tab, and then read this Volume 1, number 13. Bakit kailangan gumamit ng trailing? Why you should use a trailing stop loss and how to compute it? For your convenience, I wrote it in the vernacular in Tagalog, in Filipino. So just read that one, volume 1, number 13, and you should be good to go after that. Okay? If you have any questions, I have made it very simple. I've written it in a simple, using simple words. Just in case my simple words weren't simple enough, you have the private clients forum. That's where you can ask me. Okay? All right. So let's go on. Let's move on to the next stock in the list. We have JGS. JGS closed at 63.05. Support is at 60.30. Resistance is at 66.5. JGS, while it's bullish in the long term, it's still not out of the woods in the short term, meaning to say it's still bearish in the short term. How did I say that? It's because it's below the 10 SMA and the 50 SMA. Now, take a look at this one. It seems that the, let me adjust this one. A while back I said that support is somewhere below 60.70, but I'm going to adjust the support now at, it's near 60.70, or yeah, we can do 60.80. Okay, it seems that the support, it seems that it respected this, it created a historical support, let's say near 60.80. Okay, last Friday an intraday low of 60.80 was registered, and volume was surreal. Volume was definitely high last Friday, but we saw this Monday that the support, we saw this Monday that 60.80 seemed to have acted as the historical support of JGS. That's why I have adjusted the support at 60.80. Okay, take a look at this one. Volume. The ascent in price this Monday was not really supported with a significant volume. It's not even way up. It's not even 1/4 of the 10-day volume average. So it's not so convincing to say that JGS's ascent is more likely to continue based on the volume that I'm seeing right now. These green candlestick, and just in case it will register another green candlestick today, I prefer to see that green candlestick to be supported with volume that is preferably above the 10-day volume average. If it's too much, to ask that from JGS, at least it should give us a volume above 50% of its 10-day volume average. Well, that's a so-so kind of volume, but that's better than seeing a volume below the 50% of its 10-day volume average. Okay, again, the ideal here is to a green candlestick. The ideal combination that you would want to see, especially if you have JGS, is to see a green candlestick and a volume bar that is above the 10-day volume average. If seeing a volume bar above the 10-day volume average is too much to ask for JGS, well, at least you should see a volume that's above 50% of the 10-day volume average. Okay, I have repeated that part so that could sink in a lot faster. Okay, now for the net foreign, foreign investors were not really so much interested to trade JGS today because they only registered 11 million pesos worth of net foreign buying. MACD remains bearish. JGS still has a low risk level because of its historical volatility score of 34%. Okay. Again, resistance is at 66.50. Okay. If and when JGS breaks down below 60.80, that will pave the way to 51.2 as your next support. But there's another fence here that also serves as the defense mechanism of JGS uh, this defense line here at 55.2 might prevent the price to go lower than 55.2 before it hits 51.2. Why? What's so special with 55.2? It's the intersection between the 50 SMA and the 200-day SMA. Okay, so that's why I drew that horizontal line just now. Okay, just so you can see that as well. Now let's take a look at the volume review. Remember, it closed today at 63.05, and this is the range that got the biggest volume. Oh, by the way, 63.05 is also its intraday high, and it also got 31% of today's volume with 64 trades. Okay, so if JGS starts today at 63.05 and above, and you are planning to trade the name, monitor the price above 63.05. However, if it starts lower than 63.05 within the first 15 to 30 minutes of trading, I would advise that you step back a little and monitor the price between 62.2 all the way to 62.5. 62.2 all the way to 62.5. Okay, remember those ranges and that price point that I've mentioned. My overall sentiment on JGS is neutral. Okay, I am neutral on JGS. I'm neither fully bearish. I'm neither nor fully bullish on JGS. I'm just neutral. So as I see it, there's a tendency for JGS here to just trade the range between 60.80 to 66.5. Okay, so that's the kind of setup or potential behavior of JGS that I'm seeing right now based on the data that we've taken a look at. Okay, if you don't have JGS, and you would like to trade the name, I would suggest that you monitor that price point and that range that I mentioned during the price volume distribution analysis. Now, if you are neutral to bearish, I would suggest you monitor the price of JGS for now. Don't trade it just yet. Now, if you are a contrarian to my overall sentiment, let's say I'm neutral and then you are overly bullish, then just be sure just be on top of your trailing stop loss. Know where your trailing stop loss is when that happens. Okay. All right. So there you go. Let's take a look at the CHP now. Okay, CHP closed today at 2.85. It broke above the previous resistance at 2.74. Congratulations to those who have CHP. Okay. Now, the previous resistance at 2.74 is now acting as the support of CHP. So next resistance is now at 3.61. Okay. Now, if it breaks down again below 2.74, that will make 2.21 as the next support. CHP is bullish both in the short-term and long-term scales, but it's not yet the perfect bullishness because the 200-day SMA is still above the 50 SMA. I think these moving averages will only show a perfect alignment in favor of the bulls once the price breaks out above at least somewhere near 3.2. Okay, between 3.2 to 3.6. Once the price enters that range, I think these moving averages will show or give us a perfect alignment in favor of the bulls. Today's ascent was supported with volume. It's obviously above the 10-day volume average. Okay, but there's nothing much that we can expect from the foreign investors because I think they're not interested to trade this name. They registered 5 million pesos worth of net foreign selling today. Okay, MACD. Okay, if you have been using my 10 SMA and MACD combo to spot confirmed buy entries. The confirmed buy entry for CHP appeared last March 6. That was the day when MACD crossed above the signal line and the price went above the 10 SMA as well. Okay, so if you caught that and you have CHP, you should be fine for as long as you calculated your trailing stop loss. Okay. Okay, CHP has a moderate risk level due to its historical volatility score of 63%. Okay. For the 2019 year to date, net foreign trade, I think foreign investors are net foreign sellers for 2019 year to date. Now let's take a look at the volume review for CHP. It closed today at 2.85. Okay, there's a dominant range here. Monitor the range between 2.8 to 2.85. 2.8 to 2.85, that's the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades. Okay. Okay, my overall sentiment on CHP is bullish. If you don't have CHP, I'm sure you'd like to know, is it too late to enter? Can I do a test buy? Well, the answer will actually depend on your risk tolerance. Remember, I said a while back that CHP has a moderate risk level. Okay. If you will follow my bullish overall sentiment on CHP and your options, you have the option to do a test buy. And where should you buy? Monitor the price range that I mentioned a while back, 2.80 to 2.85. Okay. Now, if you already have CHP, I think I already commented on that a few seconds ago. Know where your trailing stop loss is. Okay. So there you go for CHP. Now let's move on to SCC. Semirara Mining Corporation. So I think I already discussed SCC in the past. Yeah, last Friday. Last Friday it was in the top gainers list as well. Okay, let's see now. What's the update on SCC? It closed today at 22.5. And we see a follow-up on the strong volume that was registered last Friday. There was a follow-up today. Although it wasn't as high as last Friday's volume, at least it's almost equal, if not totally equal, to the 10-day volume average of SCC. So, SCC is now at the brink of breaking out above the resistance at 22.5. Okay, and the support is at 19.9. If this strong volume continues today until the rest of the week, then it's not impossible to see a breakout above 22.5. Okay, foreign investors registered a relatively small amount of net foreign buying worth 9 million pesos today. MACD is bullish, and if you are a fan of my 10 SMA and MACD combo or combination, you would say that you should have seen it. You should have seen the crossing of the MACD above the signal line last Friday. Okay, last Friday. Okay, SCC has a low risk level because of its historical volatility score of 45%. SCC, while it's bullish in the short term, it's still not so much out of the woods. Why? The alignment of its moving averages are still in a perfect bearish alignment. The longer term SMAs are all above the shorter term SMAs. Okay, I think SCC will only fully recover, go out of the ICU, so to say, once the price breaks out above 29.5. That's a long shot, I know. That's why it has to break out above these resistance levels with volume above its 10-day volume average, preferably speaking, okay. But that's at least now you know how I interpret the chart of SCC. Okay. Now before I drop my overall sentiment, let me take a look at the volume review for SCC. So it closed today at 22.5. That's near its intraday high. But monitor this range because this range got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades. Monitor the price between 22 to 22.5. I repeat, 22 to 22.5. Okay. There's a possibility for the ascent in price to continue because number one, today's green candlestick is supported with the strong bullish volume. Number two, the closing price is near the intraday high, and the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades is closer to the intraday high than to the intraday low. Okay, I repeat, monitor the price between 22 to 22.5. My overall sentiment on SCC is bullish. If you'd like to trade the name and do a test buy, make sure that you monitor the price between 22 to 22.5. Okay. If you already have SCC, you know the drill. Trailing stop loss. Okay. Now let's move on to the next stock. We have DMW. DMW closed today at 11.32. Resistance is near 11.80. Support is at 10.63. Okay, so we see a continuation of the breakout above 10.63 last Friday. And it came with a strong volume as well. Definitely above its 10-day volume average. Okay. By now, every time I do this video, I always correlate the price with volume. I think you've seen, and I think more than enough proof that the correlation that, doing a price volume analysis is saying that price volume analysis is important is an understatement. Okay, I think by now, after watching more than 10 videos of the daily top 5 gainers and top 5 losers analysis, I think by now you have seen enough that it's really important to dissect the correlation between price and volume. Right? Every time we see a green candlestick and it registers a volume bar above the 10-day volume average, it's not 100% of the time that we see a continuity, but majority of the time, most often than not, the price continues its ascent, right? So there you go. Always take a look at the volume before you do a buy or sell decision. Okay. Now, foreign investors registered a net foreign buying worth 12.3 million pesos today. Okay. MACD is also bullish. It has a low risk level. DMW has a low risk level due to its volatility score of 38%. Okay. Now, let's take a look at the volume review. Remember, it closed today at 11.32, up by 3.47%. And 11.32 got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades as well. It almost closed at its intraday high of 11.34. Okay, so monitor 11.32. But if you prefer a range than just a specific price point, then I'm going to give you a range: 11.20 all the way to 11.32. That's the price that you need to monitor. But if and when, for whatever reason, DMW starts to retrace its previous support, meaning to say below 11.32, then I suggest, if that retracement happens with a strong volume, meaning to say suddenly DMW traders thought about doing some profit-taking activities, then you pause, step back a little, and monitor the price between 10.92 and 11 pesos. Okay, well, let's adjust that further. 10.92 all the way to 11.10. Okay, if that is if DMW starts to show some interest to do some profit-taking activity by the next trading day. Okay, so that's the game plan. That's the range. Those are the ranges that you need to monitor if and when this or that happens. Okay, my overall sentiment on DMW is bullish. Okay, it remember it's about to test its all-time high at the resistance near 11.80. If you are a relatively new trader, I don't suggest risking it off, taking so much risk at this level. Try to find some other stocks for now. If you are a relatively new trader, okay, it's a conditional clause. I'm not saying all traders should avoid DMW now. Now, if you are an experienced trader and you'd like to enter a new position, here's my question to you. Are you happy with the reward to risk ratio that you got? Let's say your reward is at 11.80. That's your potential reward. Your potential risk is at 10.6. Calculate the ratio between that with respect to where the current price is. Are you happy with that reward to risk ratio? Okay. This is not an existential question, guys. Okay. If you're happy with that reward to risk ratio, then it's up to you if you'd like to do a test buy. But if you think that, oh, I think I'm risking more than what I'm trying to win, if that's the kind of uh, self-talk that you will generate when you answer my question, then you might as well uh, postpone your plan to trade the name and maybe find some other stocks for now. Okay, so there you go for DMW. Okay, now let's take a look at we're now on the top 5 losers. We have PHA. So I talked about PHA a lot last week, I think. Let's double check. Oh yeah, I did. Twice last week. Okay, now PHA. Premier Horizon. PHA closed today at 1.07. So it really did not support. Let me check here. I think I was already bearish on PHA last week. Oh yeah, I have been bearish on PHA since the last week. So there you go. It continued its descent below the support at 1.18. Now it's at 1.07. If this bearishness continues, especially if it continues to show volume bar above the 10-day volume average, so that means we might be seeing PHA near 0.86 sooner or later. Okay, there's nothing much to stare at on PHA's stock. Actually, it has been this bearish since when? Not just since last week, but since when? Since February, since the first week of February, or the second week of February. That was the time when MACD already crossed below the signal line. Okay, take a look at this one. It's bearish, but it also has a high risk level. It's a few points above the 70% historical volatility score. So lower, high risk stock and a bearish stock at the same time. Definitely not one of the stocks that you would want to trade immediately. This is one of I'm not saying you should avoid PHA. Okay, what I'm saying is that you should continue monitoring this stock for now. If you are really interested to trade PHA, you can still make money on PHA, but not now. Maybe later. What's the typical? How should it look like for JC De Guzman to see PHA as a stock that's worthy to trade? Okay, here's the thing. Even when you see the support at 0.86 being respected, and you see some buyers wanting to buy the stock at a price higher than 0.86, and when you see MACD bending from the southward going to the northward direction, and when you see the price moving above the 10 SMA, and then the volume follows through with the green volume above the 10-day volume average, Oh my, oh my. So those kinds of those elements, when not necessarily all of those, but when majority of those elements that I've said are present, then maybe it's about time to reevaluate PHA. Maybe it's about time to make money from PHA. Maybe, just maybe, the traders have started to realize that PHA is already at a price that's already too cheap to be ignored. Too cheap not to be bought again. Too cheap to be snubbed. Okay? So those are the elements, okay, that should be present for us to consider reviewing PHA if it's worthy to be traded again. But until then, okay, until then. Okay, so the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades is between 1.07 and 1.14. 1.07 to 1.14. Okay, my overall sentiment for PHA is bearish, as usual. Do not trade the name yet. Do not trade the name yet. And just in case you're still asking, so when should I trade? I just gave you lots of adjectives that would describe it when it's about time to reevaluate the situation. To consider if it's about time to trade PHA again or not. Okay, just replay that part of the video. Okay, so there you go for PHA. Now let's move on to green. Okay, green is one of our regular guests in our video. Yeah, that's one. I've talked about green for how many? For more than 7 days already. Okay, let's see what's new. Green closed today at 2.30. It went below its support at 2.34. That's a breakdown. Okay, what do you expect? I've been bearish on green since since how many days ago? MACD is bearish. Okay, and this red candlestick is supported with a red volume bar that's above its 10-day volume app. Not above, but slightly few points away below the 10-day volume average, but it's still bearish. Green also has an extremely high risk level because of its volatility score of 109%. It's all the more that you should stay away from green for now. Okay, not forever, but for now. Okay. So, Mr. De Guzman, when shall we reconsider green for a play once again? Well, the same exact adjectives or elements that I gave you when I discussed PHA. Okay? Support is at 1.90. Resistance is now at 2.34. Okay? It's bearish. And my overall sentiment on green is bearish. Stay away from it for now. There you go. I do hope none of you are still holding on to your position on green. Okay, be smart, guys. Be smart traders. Be smart investors. Okay. Green, for what it's worth. So here's the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades. 2.30 all the way to 2.4. 2.3 to 2.4. Alright. Let's move on to ISM. I think ISM is also one of the regular guests in our daily top 5 gainers and top 5 losers video. Oh yeah, this is the fourth time that I'm going to talk about ISM. Let's see what's new also. ISM closed today at 5.41. Support is at 5.21 or 5.2. Resistance is at 6.8. It's still bearish in the short term and moderate medium term. Although it's bullish in the long term since it's still above the 200-day SMA, but if you are trading the name, you should not really cling on the fact that it's bullish just because it's above the 200-day SMA. You don't care about the long-term sentiment when it comes to short-term trading. You only care about the short-term sentiment. Where is the price in as far as the position of the 10 SMA is concerned? Well, at least that's how I think when I'm in a short-term trading mode. Okay. There you go. So the support at 5.20 seemed to have been respected last week. Okay, it bounced away twice when it touched the 521 support line or 5.20 support line last week. MACD has been bearish for since when? Since the second week of February. Okay. ISM still has a low risk level because of its volatility score of 48%. Not because it's a low risk stock, it doesn't it does not automatically mean it, not because it has a low risk level you should not buy the stock right away. Having a low risk level is not an automatic is not a license for the stock to to be bought again right away. Yeah, it just happens to have a low risk level because it goes down in a semi-organic way. It does not fluctuate extremely high and then fluctuate downward, you know, in an extreme manner again. So it does the descent in price calm in a calm organic manner. That's why it maintains its low risk level. Okay, so there you go for ISM. Let's take a look at the volume review. Okay, here's the price. Here's the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades. So we have 5.38 all the way to 5.38 to 5 or 5.4 to 5.48. Okay, 5.4 to 5.38, or we can no 5 did I mention, yeah, 5.4 to 5.48, or if we would like to be stricter, it can be 5.4 to 5.45. Okay. Definitely I'm not saying you should buy the price near that level, not just yet. Okay, not just yet. I'm bearish on ISM. Okay, so there. Now next we have web. It rings a bell to me. Oh yeah, I talked about web twice already, and this is the third time. Oh, the last time it was also in the top losers list. Oh, yeah, I remember now. I have been bearish on web. I I even plotted the psychological support at 2.30. I remember the last time that I talked about web, I mentioned that you should wait for the price or close once it draws closer to 2.30, and I think now it's little by little happening. MACD is bearish. Foreign investors are bearish on web. Volume is bearish. It registered the volume above the 10-day volume average today. It has a low risk level because of its volatility score of 46%. Okay. So as early as now, I'm telling you my overall sentiment on web is bearish. But for what it's worth, let me just mention the price points that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades. 2.63, well actually it's 2.6 to 2.65 all the way to the intraday low. 2.6 to 2.65. That range got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades. Okay, I'm bearish on web. Don't rush, don't hurry, don't buy it just now. Make sure that you reevaluate the situation based on what you see on the price and the volume. Okay, by the number of videos that I produced, and if you've watched or listened to all of them by now, you should now be a master. You should have already mastered what I mean when I say price and volume. Okay, now let's move on to the last stock in the list. We have PX. What's up with Philex Mining Corporation? Did I talk about PX in the past already? Oh yeah, this is the second time. And the first time, was it in the gainers or losers end? It was in the... Oh, I haven't talked about PX yet. I talked about PX speed, but not PX. Okay, so here you go. PX closed today at 3.83. It's at the brink of testing the support at 3.78. Resistance is at 4.41. The alignment of the moving averages are in chaos. A lot of crisscrosses happening that happened last week. It's the price is still moving below the 10-day simple moving average and below the 50-day simple moving average. Actually, it's all below the moving averages. So that makes PX trade inside the bearish territory both in the short-term and long-term scales. Okay. The red candlestick also came with a red volume bar. That's a little bit higher than its 10-day volume average. MACD, do I still need to say this if you're seeing it as well? MACD has been a bearish territory since when? Since the last week of January 2019. Okay. It does not fluctuate in a peculiar manner. That's why it maintains its risk level of its low risk level with a volatility score of 34%. Okay. There you go. There's a chance. If this bearish sentiment continues this week, there's a chance for a breakdown. For us to see a breakdown below 3.78. When that happens, let's wait near 3.18. And once it rose closer to 3.18, that will increase our upside potential. Well, assuming it will respect and bounce away from 3.18. Okay. How do we know if a reversal is being cooked up? Well, we can see that on the volume. Again, like what I've told you, when the price has been in the downward direction for how many days, and then suddenly it seems to have bounced away from a certain support level, and we see some an increase in the demand to buy the stock at a higher price, and that means perhaps the traders think that the price is already too cheap to be ignored. Okay, you can see that actually on the price volume distribution, on the volume review. If the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades is towards the intraday high, it's closer to the intraday high than to the intraday low, then it could be an indication that a sign of reversal, an SOR. That could be an SOR, a sign of reversal. Okay, so there you go for PX. Now for the volume that got the biggest volume, for the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades, we have 3.83 to 3.90. That's closer to the intraday low, guys. So I will maintain my bearish sentiment on PX. Okay, I will maintain my bearish sentiment on PX. If you don't have PX, don't have it just yet. Continue monitoring the price. And just in case you bought at the top when it was near 4.4, I hope you know where your trailing stop loss is. If not, go to the newsletters tab, read volume 1 number 13. Okay, so there you go. You've heard me. You've heard my overall sentiment, my analysis, and my recommended plans of actions for these 10 stocks for March 18, 2019, Monday. I'd like to mention as well that I have an upcoming seminar in Makati on May 4, 2019. Okay, I hope to see you there because this is the first time that I'm going to talk about in a detailed manner, the complete version of my evergreen strategy to profit in the stock market. Okay, May 4, 2018 in Makati from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Bacolod Chicken Inasal, Jupiter Street, Bel Air, Makati. On May 4, that's Saturday, from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. It will be a 4-hour discussion. By the way, I cannot accommodate all. It's not really that I cannot, but I don't want to accommodate more than 30 packs. Why? Because I won't be able to answer everyone's questions if I'm talking to more than 30 people in a room. So I'd like to limit this session into 30 in batches. 30 for the first batch, and I'm sure you'd like to ask when's the next batch. I don't know. I don't know. It could be next year because I'm fully packed for 2019 already. Okay. So first come first serve, faster fingers first. Okay. Click on this one so you will see the details of the seminar, how much is the pay. It's a discounted price for you because you are an Equilist Analytics subscriber. Instead of paying 4,500, it will only be 4,000 pesos. Okay. There you go. So if you have questions, don't hesitate to post your questions in our private clients forum. Again, this is our top 5 gainers and top 5 losers analysis for Monday, March 18, 2019. My name is JC De Guzman. Have a great day.